Don't know what I've been hearing, but it's getting pretty big. Right out there. Can you see that? No, I don't think you can. I'm next to a little marsh, or I should say a big marsh. I think I've been hearing some aguilators. Yeah, that's what they're called, aguilators. I've been laying around here just to wait for those dang mosquitoes to disappear. There's still one right there. You saw that the ones I had last night. They're for the most part gone, so I think it's safe to get out without getting eaten. So let's get a move on. Hello there, friends. We're having breakfast together. You've been waiting for me, have you? Huh. Or are you just grounded because of this wind? It's very windy. I'm getting a... This is really funny. It's a direct crosswind from the east. And I'll be hiking along here and all of a sudden I get a gust and it just blows me off almost. About 3 miles from Moorhaven. Got a late start, of course. And hopefully you can hear me through this wind. If you can hear me, I think behind me right here, I've gotten to my first sugarcane field. Let's see here. I think that's sugarcane down there. I'm not really sure. But it's my first one of that type of field, whatever it is. And yes, I'm leaning into the wind. Whoop, see? Well, here's something I haven't done much of since I've been in Florida. This is the town of Moorhaven. And this would be the main drag, I suppose, with Highway 72, 28, 27, some highway. I got to go up on this bridge. And speaking of this bridge, it's something about one of the spans is the longest of its kind in Florida, 918 feet, something like that. And the total bridge is about 2,200 feet long. Anyway, Moorhaven was started in the early 1900s. It was nicknamed at that time Little Chicago because it was a boom town kind of place with all the activity that was going on, agricultural things like, things like that. And Moorhaven also had the distinction back in 1917 of having, in the South, in the whole South, everything between the below the Mason-Dixon line, the first woman mayor, Marion Horowitz, 1917. Howdy. She was mayor for a couple years, and then she decided to go off and live on the farm. But everybody liked what she did. She was considered no-nonsense, all-business type of person, and they appreciated her for that. The railroad came through here starting in 1918. And it was known as the the mud train or the sludge train or something, because of all the it was always late, and I guess it was always affected by the rains and the muds and everything like that. And then fast forward to 1926. You remember what I told you about what happened in 1926? That's right, it was that hurricane that came through here. Pretty much wiped out a lot of the town. In fact, some of the buildings that were on this side of the Caloosahatchee River, which we're actually going to go over, got blown over to the other side of the river. So, and remember that wiped out a third of the population, killed them. And so things started to rebuild, and then bam, 1928 another hurricane came and pretty much wiped the place off the face of the earth. Those homes that hadn't been damaged, those homes and businesses that had not been damaged, they got it this time. So ever since then, Moore Haven's just been kind of holding its own. There's not really any industry in town, and what stuff is supported here is basically around for the sugar fields. U.S. Sugar owns quite a bit of the land around here. And then boating, and you can see there's a, well, we just passed it, there's a bait and tackle shop back there. So that's the town of Moore Haven. And I've got another 9.5 miles to go. Oh, the other thing I want to mention too is that Moore Haven is one of those towns, and I think it's kind of nice, where just about everything is closed on Sunday. Just like in the old days, you know? So anyway, I'm going to try and get to Uncle Joe's fish camp tonight. I'll obviously be walking in the dark because I've been dawdling around. And there you have it. Now we're going to walk on the bridge. And here's another view of Moore Haven and the surrounding area. Looking south, you're looking westerly over here. They have a nice little park, a couple parks actually. There's one right over here below the bridge, and then there's another kind of little park area right down here, which is nice. And then there's one right over there next to the canal where those trees are. And here you can get a good view of the lock and dam and pump station. And then beyond there in the horizon would be Lake Okeechobee. And then here comes somebody, get out of the way. Out this way would be, howdy, Clewiston, about 17 miles that way, where I'm headed tomorrow. And then this is the Caloosahatchee River, and that's the river that flows out to Fort Myers. And that's the one I told you about, where the powers that be in Fort Myers way back in the 1800s and early 1900s concocted their scheme to try and drain this whole area here and make it good for land developers and all that. It didn't work out, did it? So anyway, Caloosahatchee River, which is an outflow from Lake Okeechobee out to the Gulf of Mexico. And then again, way up north that way is where the Kissimmee River flows into Lake Okeechobee. And then again, On the other side of Lake Okeechobee, way out that way, is where they dug the canal to connect an outflow from Lake Okeechobee to the St. Lucie River, which then goes to the Atlantic Ocean. All right, Uncle Joe's Fish Camp. Gonna get there at dark. So here's the new crop harvest I'm experiencing. Sugarcane. This is all a sugarcane field that they have harvested, and they use machinery similar to a combine, like you do in the cornfields and wheat fields, which is interesting. And then you've got the sugarcane train that's been pretty busy here, going up and down the line here, transporting the harvested product. I'm presuming that's the same engine that we saw when I was up there on the bridge transporting the cars down. And speaking of which, I think I'm going to take a shortcut down the tracks here. Shh, don't tell anybody. It'll save me about a mile. And here you can see the sugarcane spillage that's come off the train cars. All right, I think I'm going to make my getaway. Here's another look of the harvesting going on here too. I'm presuming, you know, any place where they grow sugar cane, they probably harvest it the same way. So if you're in Hawaii, that's probably the same way they do it there too. Okay, let's make the mad rush for it. Alright, that wasn't bad. Track was in good shape, so were the timbers. Can't go down this way though, because there's a bridge over there. I don't want to get caught on the bridge. But a quiz for you. Where was the last time we walked on a train track? I'll put a clip on here and let me know where you think it is. Pretty busy goings on here. That's pretty neat. I think I better get out of here. So what happens here, that guy right there, he harvests it, dumps it into that truck right there. That truck follows along, and then when he's all full, he comes up to one of these semis here and dumps it in the semi. Once the semi is full, they take it all to the, I guess to the train. The train takes it to where it needs to take it, and so this is where your sugar comes from. Look at all this going on here. I think I better get out of the way, huh? It's like a parade. So I just talked to one of the workers there, and I asked him a whole bunch of questions that I asked all the guys in Kansas. I think he's just a worker bee, not a guy in charge, so he couldn't give me the an idea of what an acre of sugar cane yields, but he did tell me that it takes anywhere from 8 to 12 months for the sugar cane to grow and mature to harvest time. And then he also said that they grow these fields, they grow each field for like 5 seasons, and then so about 5 years. And then after 5 years, they after they harvest it, they disc the field, and then they replant it with new sugar. I guess in some fields too, they burn them up, because I've seen cane fields being burned. So there's a little economic lesson on sugar cane. Yeah, I didn't know it took that long. Wow. Huh. Learn something new every day, huh? Alright, we've come to another crop, but I can't tell what it is, so I'm going to let you decide. What is this? Doesn't look like spinach, I don't think. There's no flowers on them. If you could tell by the little picture I gave you, let me know what you think. This field looks like it's getting ready to be harvested. That one just was. Boy, this is turning out to be a productive and nutritious day, right? As you can see, it's getting towards the end of the day here, but I wanted to show you this. Looks like a little oasis out in the middle of the fields, huh? All these colorful buildings. This is called Venmo Village, and apparently this is where all the field workers live, or a lot of them do. And I just thought it was kind of striking to see these peachy colored buildings just in the middle of the sea of green sugarcane. Yeah. And then you can see right there, they've got all the buses there to take them out to the fields. Pretty interesting. Alright, march onwards. Oops, get my trash. So I'm sure people are probably wondering, what's this crazy guy doing on this lonely road out in the middle of nowhere at the end of the day, yakking at his camera and enjoying the colorful buildings and the puffy clouds in the sky. But you know, it's one of those times. Just kind of hope you can hear me out of in the wind here. It's just one of those times, you know, where you can just kind of put it on autopilot, reflect, or just turn off the mind, period. I'm really walking slow. Why? I don't know, just because, I guess. Can you hear that? There's a nice sound to wake up to. Uncle Joe's Fish Camp. Got here after sundown, but the nice thing is, I was out on the road there, still had about 4.5 miles to go, and some guy stopped and said, "Hey, you need a ride?" So I said, sure. So I got a ride here into Joe's Fish Camp, and there's the dike that's so enticing, but I can't get onto it. So it's 6.2 miles into Clewiston and a couple days off, and then the beginning of the final stretch. The beginning of the final stretch. That sounds so final. Down along the canals south of Lake Okeechobee, and then in over to where am I going? Big Cypress Preserve, the swamp. It'll be interesting to see how much water is still there. Hopefully there's water and it's not muck. So today I'm just going to take it slow, 6.2 miles. I'll probably get there in 3 hours. Take your time, right? Take your time. I'm glad I got to come this way. So from harvest to brand new. So here's a cane field that's, as I mentioned before, I guess been recently disked and then replanted. So now we know what it looks like, fully matured, and now baby sugar cane. You know, sugar's an interesting thing, isn't it? It's one of those things, I guess, we need in a certain way. Although I guess really glucose is what we need, not sucrose. And in moderate amounts, it's okay for us. But if we look at the modern American food production, and look how much sugar is in everything, and look how much salt is in everything, extra salt and extra sugar. And I was really, it kind of hit home a couple weeks ago. I got some, I thought it was going to be healthy. I got some dried coconut and some dried mixed fruit. And oh man, I was craving that. I started eating it. It's just loaded, which I should have read the label. It was just loaded with sugar. So you didn't really taste the coconut, you didn't really taste the fruit, all you tasted was the sugar. And on top of that, the sulfur dioxide, they put a whole bunch of sulfur dioxide on it. So really I was only eating sugar and sulfur dioxide, it would have seemed to me. But you know, we've talked about that before, you know, the modern travails of modern life. How do we feed hundreds of millions of people efficiently? And but I'm wondering, you know, if we can just back off on the sugar and the salt. We'll just back off on everything, right? Look how big a lot of this have gotten. And speaking of big, I'm meaning it in the corporeal sense. I remember reading how when the Americans were coming over to into World War II to fight, and how the British were remarking on how big the Americans were. And what I mean by big is, you know, taller and more stout, so to speak, compared to the British. And at that point in our history, we had really become a nation that had really started to get down the food production. And so where am I going with this? I think where I'm going is that just like anything else, like we've talked about clear cuts, we've talked about farming, we've talked about pollution, clean air, clean water, all that sort of stuff. There's trade-offs to things that we do and need, so it's just that fine balance. I wonder what this area would look like if it was planted all with orchards, you know, instead of sugar. Or just think, you know, this is all, say, papaya, mango, watermelon. All right, on to Clewiston, on to Clewiston. Observation about the roads. I've been watching these reflectors here. Look how that one's skewed sideways. The last one was skewed maybe at a 30-degree angle. The one before that was maybe 40 degrees. Here's another one. That's not too far off center. But a lot of these have been twisted, and I'm guessing it's because, well, this one's okay, well, this one's kind of skewed off. I'm guessing it's because the goop that they use to glue it down, probably sitting here in the hot, humid sun, especially during the summer. Look, this one's gone. Probably over here somewhere. During the hot, humid summers especially, it's probably a compound that just is not able to handle that constant heat and humidity, and so every time a car hits it, it somehow twists it, or as in the case of this one up here too, boop, bye-bye. That one too. Well, that's the, that's still got the base on it. The things you notice. Anything else you want me to notice on the roads? Okay, here's something else. These dots. So instead of like most areas where they grind a rumble strip on the side, here on these county roads they've been putting these, I guess I call them Nilla wafers, or Oreo type of things. And these things seem to be holding out well. Maybe it's because they've been painted over, and that protects the goop. Okay, anything else you want me to tell you about on these roads? Oh, these cracks right here. Okay, one more story. I forget exactly where and when it was. I don't think it was on this walk this year. I think it was on the walk last time. You know, these cracks on the road, instead of repaving the road, they'll put the goop in there to seal it. There was one road where that had been done, but then the guy had also taken the sealer and written a heart on the road, and it said "Mom" on it. So that was kind of funny. Where was that? And I don't think I took a picture of that. I should have. Oh well. It was last year. I'm going to say maybe Kansas. I'll think about that for a while, and I'll let you know if I remember where it was. See that train? That's something I've always found interesting, and I've never commented on it. And it's about the train horns and the Doppler effect. On this train it was especially striking. So if you're familiar with the Doppler effect, is that when a sound is coming towards you, the sound waves are compressed, and therefore they're at a higher pitch. And then when the sound is traveling away from you, the sound waves are longer, and it's a lower pitch. And on this train, I've heard that on all the trains through these two walks, but on this train especially, when the train was up here on this railroad crossing, it was a higher pitch, And then when it got over to that railroad crossing over there, it was a lower pitch, and so very interesting. And of course you have that effect with light as well. Now I don't think it's called the Doppler. Is it called the Doppler effect with light? You know, when light is coming towards you, it's a shorter wavelength, and then when it's traveling against you, it's a larger wavelength. What do they call it? The redshift or something like that. Just another random observation. Well, I wasn't going to say anything more on this road walk to Clewiston, but I got two more things to say. First off, that's right, bush light. Bookends the trip. That's our confirmation. And then the second thing is, I was just thinking about that science stuff and Doppler and all that. But here's something else that kind of mind-bending to me anyway. And ever since I think it was in junior high when I first heard this saying, and that is, in art, in the art world, the color black, that denotes the presence of all colors. So if you combine all of your primary colors together in the right percentages, you've created the color black. Whereas in science, the quote-unquote color black represents the absence of all light. So I've always thought that a pretty interesting, what do you call it, balance, or an interesting difference. In art, the presence of all color is black, and in science, here's another bush light can. And in science, the black represents the absence of all color, or absence of all light. Huh. Think about that one for a second, huh? Say hello to Michelle.
Hey, how are you?
Say hello to Sean. They're actually taking me to the rest stop on I-75. Why am I going to the rest stop on I-75, you ask? Well,